Hi Heather, my name's Pam. Feel free to call me Blue, everybody else does. I'm making this video in response to your video on sharing home canned foods, etc. that you put out yesterday. And I thought that it would be cool to give an opinion of someone who doesn't live in the US, and we have a few little rules. Now, I'm an Aussie who lives in the UK, and the UK and Australia have very similar rules when it comes to distribution of food, homemade foods. So, number one, there are no rules if you're making it for home, family, and friends. Okay, so your normal circle of people. If you are wanting to put together a box of food for someone that you know in your area that could do with, a bit of a help, then there usually generally isn't a problem with having it as homemade food. However, there could be. And the reason there could be is if that person doesn't know how to reheat food properly, or doesn't do that properly, and then that can come back onto you. So if you are going to be distributing food, or what they classify distributing food, to anyone more than your local personal circle of friends and family, or if you're wanting to make money from it or anything like that, you're going to have to find a space that will stand up to an environmental health check. So if you're going to be a private chef and making food from home to go to people, the environmental health team officer will be out here checking your home kitchen. And the same with if you are, for example, making canned goods, or bottled, as we call it here, it's bottling, bottled food to go to the market, or to car boot, or to give to friends, or to sell out of your front door, because you're actually allowed to do that over here. You can actually set up a small stall at your front doorstep. It's interesting, but you can get sneaky and not, but if you get reported, you will have the environmental health guy turn up. Okay, so it's up to you how far you want to push it, how far you're willing to push it. I have done small fundraising stalls with homemade sauces and preserves and all kinds of bits and pieces that I have home canned myself. Through, we use a lot of the open kettle method and water bathing method here in the UK, or pickling or fermenting. We don't do a lot of pressure canning. There are a small number of people who do pressure canning, and that is one, because the cost is too much for most people to get the pressure canners. They're not sold as standard over here, and the ones that are sold here don't have the new safety features that the ones that you guys have. So to have a really safe one, it's going to cost upwards of, what was 2 years ago £300, is now going to be £400 to £500 due to tariffs, and £500 is what my husband brings home in wages every week. So we certainly couldn't afford to put that amount of money aside just for a pressure canner, let alone the different jars that you guys use, or the mason lids, etc., because all of that stuff has to be imported. There is only one supplier here in the UK for mason jars and your 2-piece lid system, but for the most part we use the same kinds of jars that you can buy in the shops with bottled stuff on the shelves in the shops, and we can reuse those lug lids, and we do actually get lug lids as well, and mostly we use lug lids. So our system is very, very different to yours over there, mostly because A, we've never used it, and B, it's not compulsory over here either. It's only been an advisory for the last 12 months, and it is only an advisory. For the most part, the government stays out of your business, which is good, because they don't stay out of much of your business. But when it comes to what you eat, you know, they tend to stay out of it unless you're supplying it to somebody else. So for canned goods, you're okay within your own personal. You're okay if you're giving it away for the most part, but it's better if you err on the side of caution. Most of the time, if you can get your home kitchen up to scratch, and all you have to do is make sure that it's clean, right? And that means the cupboards, the fridges, the freezers, everything's clean, tidy, and looks decent, right? You're pretty much going to be fine. They do ask that if you can separate your home use food from whatever it is that you are using to produce food for giving away or distributing to others, then they would prefer if the food was kept separate. However, if you explain to them that it's all the same, there's not a lot they can really do about it, let's be honest, because it is what it is, right? Or just say to them, I mean, like I've done, I've just said to them, well, the stuff that I need for that kind of, for work, I get in on the day, and they just leave it alone. Oh, fine, yeah, whatever, it's all good. So they leave you alone for the most part. They really don't want to be bothered. That's the truth of it. They really don't want to be bothered, most of them. But you can do that kind of stuff from home if you want to, and you can distribute it if you want to. You just can't, you're not really supposed to be making money off it, and if you are making money off it, you really do need to have a environmental health check done. If you are worried about it, over here in the UK, you can look for a community kitchen or the local church kitchen or some kind of public space that has a kitchen in it, because they are required by law to have an environmental health check done on them. So you can forego the concern of environmental health coming to your private home and take the stuff there and hire out their kitchen for the day or two to get things done. There are options. It's just what you're willing to do, what you're willing to put yourself through, the risks you're willing to take. And again, as you found with botulism, etc., your rules over there, since records began about 140 years ago, we've had 116 cases. Most of those have come out of factories or people smuggling salami in their suitcase back from Europe. That's, you know, and actually none of them have been to do with any kind of home preserving. None. Nothing to do with water bath canning, nothing to do with any other kind of bottling, preserving. It's all been to do with smuggling in food after you've been travelling with it in your suitcase for X amount of 20 hours, etc. Or, you know, so a well-meaning grandmother sending, you know, a jar of packed in oil mushrooms or something. But that was, you know, that was suspicious, but it wasn't actually said to be the actual cause, but it was seen as suspicious. So I just wanted to put in my 2 cents and hope that it helps a little bit. I personally don't have a problem with having my kitchen having having an environmental health check done on it, because at the end of the day it puts my mind at rest as well. I've got something that I can fall back on. I can turn around and say, excuse me, but yeah, our kitchen's not up to code. So because we live in government housing, so we can actually go to the local housing and go fix it. And they have to do that. They actually have to do that. So, it kind of works in our favour a little bit. The other thing is that if you are going to be preparing food for other people, more to protect yourself rather than anybody else, is to get a food hygiene certificate. Now, if you are going to be making stuff, that would be to give out, like as in canning and other preserved foods, etc. You would be expected to have one that covers manufacturing. Okay, so not just working in a kitchen, normal kind of food hygiene certificate, which I used to have as a chef, but you'd have to have the one a level up that covers manufacturing, and that's more just to cover your own ass than anything else. So I hope this helps. I hope this gives a little bit of a different perspective, and good luck with it all, to be honest. My personal feeling is I don't mind having an environmental health check done on my kitchen, and if I know that the food that I'm getting from somebody else, if I know them personally and I know what their kitchen is like, I'm either going to be horrified or incredibly grateful. I never want to be horrified, okay? And I've seen some stuff, even here on YouTube, that has left me sitting there having heart palpitations about the state of someone's kitchen. Now, mine's not always perfect, but, where I work is clean, So, yeah. Anywho, have fun. Thanks for that. That was really quite interesting. It's actually interesting to see what's going on around the place, So, yeah. Thanks for that, and I really hope he keeps going with it. Just keep giving them away, dude. Have fun. Bye.